Hello and welcome. My name is Kevin Ashton. I'm a chef and food writer. And today I'd like to show you how to make a gluten-free Persian love cake. Now there's a great story connected with this recipe, that a young woman wanted to woo the heart of a Persian prince, so she baked him this most delicious cake. I do hope she won his heart. I hope you like this video. Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe. Thank you. And on my table we have the ingredients which I'm going to talk you through. We've got 450 grams of ground almonds. Now my recipe normally calls for almond flour, but we couldn't get any, so we're going to grind these almonds down to make them finer, turning it into almond flour, which is really simple. Next to that we've got 200 grams of granulated sugar, and next to that we've got 190 grams of soft light brown sugar. And next we have 220 grams of unsalted butter. We've got 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. We've got 3 large eggs. We've got 280 grams of full fat plain yogurt. We've got half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. We've got half a vanilla pod, which we're going to scrape the seeds out of the vanilla pod and put that in. We've got the grated zest of a medium sized orange. We're going to use 1 teaspoon of rose water, and then we're going to decorate the cake with pistachios, and these pistachios I've bought are already shelled and skinned. We're going to sprinkle those on the top, and we're also going to use some rose petals to decorate with. So as I said, we have ground almonds instead of almond flour, so we're just going to grind up the ground almonds a little finer to make it almond flour. We're going to do that in 2 batches, so we're going to take about half of this, and we're just going to use a food processor. If you don't have a food processor, then a liquidizer is equally fine. We don't want it too loaded up, so we'll take about half of it and then repeat. And we're just going to put it on fast speed, but we want to make sure that we do this in short, sharp blasts. We don't want to just switch it on and leave it on. So we've pulsed it for a couple of minutes now, and you can see that it's finer than the texture of ground almonds. We want to take it down just a little bit, but it's good to open the food processor up and just scrape it down, make sure that the texture is even and that it's not clumping together. We're going to give it a little more, and then we're going to put it into that mixing bowl. So I've pulsed the ground almonds for about 5 minutes, and now I think it's fine enough, and we're going to put that into my mixing bowl and pulse the other half of the ground almonds. So you can see that because it's been ground down in the food processor, it's kind of caking together more. It's much finer because it's been ground down, and that's what you're looking for. So the next stage is really, really simple. We're just going to add 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, granulated sugar, brown sugar, and we're going to put this on a very low speed and combine all those, and then we'll add our butter. So we're just going to take this down on a slow speed. So you can see after mixing it just for a couple of minutes that we've incorporated the sugars into the almond and also along with the salt. And now we're going to add our butter. We're going to add our butter. We're going to put half of it in, give it a little mix, and then add the rest of the butter. Again, we're going to do this on a low speed. So the butter isn't completely mixed in yet, this first half of the butter, but we're now ready to add the rest of the butter. And we're going to put the butter in, and it helps if your butter is a little bit warmer than mine. If it's about room temperature, that way the butter incorporates quickly into the sugar and the almonds. So I've mixed everything together, and now it's a kind of a crumb-like consistency. That's what we're looking for. So I'm using a 8-inch springform pan, which is approximately 21.5 centimeters in diameter, and it's about 7 centimeters in the height. So if you want to find the exact same pan I'm using, that's the dimensions to look for. Now we're going to line the springform pan with some baking paper, and then we're ready to start making our crust. So I have my springform pan all lined with baking paper, ready to fill up, and we're now going to make our crust. So we've taken the mixture and we've divided it in half, and just to make sure I've got half, I've put it on the scales, and this is what half looks like. It's 523 grams, and we're going to put this mixture into our springform pan and flatten it down as we go to get a bottom. Try to make sure it's as even as you can. Now, one of the easiest ways we can make sure that it's nice and flat is to use an object. Sometimes you might see a chef use a rolling pin to flatten the bottom. So I'm going to take this glass insert from my cafetiere, and we're just going to press that down to help flatten the bottom. And then as we add some more, we'll start to create an edge up the side of the pan. Now we're taking some of the mixture and we're putting it on the side. Turn the pan around so we make sure we get it reasonably even, and now we want to squash it down the bottom, and we want to push it against the edge of the pan to create your side walls of your crust, and just keep patiently doing that. The mixture will stick a little bit to the bottom of the glass, but don't worry, just pull gently away from it. If you pull too hard, you might pull the crust away with you. And we're just going to continue until we have a nice even edge all the way around. So I've finished making my crumb base. I'm just going to turn this around so you can see that I've tried to make it as even as I can, not just the bottom but the sides, so that it's pretty the same height all the way around. And we've now got that set, so we're going to put that in the fridge to chill, and we're going to take the other half of the crumb base and we're going to add our eggs and yogurt, etc., to make our mixture. So to make our mixture is really simple. We're just going to add all the ingredients in and just slowly mix it. So we've got our cinnamon, we're going to add our eggs. We're going to add our eggs one at a time. We're going to add all of our orange zest. Make sure we get all of that out of the ramekin. Remember, we've got our Greek yogurt, and I've already taken out the vanilla seeds from the vanilla pod and put that on top of the yogurt, so we'll add some of that, and we're going to give it a little mix, and then we're going to add some more egg and a little bit more yogurt. So we only mixed it for about a minute. Now we're going to add another egg, a little bit more yogurt, and mix that again for about another minute, and then finish with the last egg and the rest of the yogurt and also the rose water. So let's this time put all the rest of the yogurt in. Make sure we don't lose any. It's always good to have a flexible silicone spatula to put those things in. And the other egg. And then we're going to take a teaspoon of the rose water, just a scant teaspoon, just a little less, that's plenty. And then we'll put it onto low speed and mix it. So before you start mixing your ingredients together, I've preset the oven at 175 degrees and we're going to bake this on the middle shelf. So I wanted to show you first the consistency of the mixture now that everything has been beaten into it. I didn't beat it very long, you're just beating it long enough to incorporate everything, make sure there's no lumps or anything at the bottom. And you can see it's quite wet, but you don't really need to beat any air into it. So we're just going to pour this into our crust. And now it's ready to go into the oven. So our Persian love cake has had 1 hour and 5 minutes in the oven at 175 degrees. Now we've taken it out of the oven. You want to see that it is lightly brown, but it also still has a little bit of a jiggle if you shake the pan. So that's the sort of set amount you need it to know that it's ready. So we're going to let it cool down completely on the trivet that I've got it sat on, and once it's cooled down we're going to transfer it to the fridge, and you need to put it in the fridge for about 4 hours before you remove it from the springform pan and decorate it. So here we have our baked gluten-free Persian love cake. Absolutely delicious. It's been setting in the fridge for about 4 hours, so we're now going to turn it out and we're going to decorate it with some pistachio nuts. We have some wonderful slivered pistachio nuts and some edible rose petals here. So we're just going to take a few of the pistachio nuts, just sprinkle them all around, make sure that you get them all over the cake, and we're going to keep some of the pistachios spare to drizzle onto each portion, sprinkle onto each portion. And now we're going to go with the rose petals, and you get a wonderful contrast of the pinks of the rose petals against the vibrant green of the pistachio nuts. And we're going to serve this with a little bit of sour cream or whipped cream, and it has the consistency of a light cheesecake. Absolutely delicious. There we are.